In Gaza, the number of Palestinians killed so far amounts to 28,473, although a higher figure is estimated because many are still under rubble. According to the UN, criminal groups in Haiti are increasing their activity in the country. And authorities deploy a harsh security mechanism against the march of thousands of farmers to New Delhi who demand protection of the prices of their crops. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Israel is perpetrating the most heinous massacre of the century. The number of Palestinians killed so far amounts to 28,473, although a higher figure is estimated because many are under rubble. Gaza authorities have delivered a new report of the victims of the genocidal operation. In the last 24 hours, the occupying troops committed 16 massacres in the Palestinian enclave, killing 133 civilians and injuring 162. According to the register, the number of wounded amounts to 68,146. Both killed and injured are mostly women and children. It is estimated that they represent more than 80% of victims of the attacks. Also, the number of bodies under rubble, missing and kidnapped could overwhelmingly raise the statistics. On Tuesday, the Sedin al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of the Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas, announced that the Zionist occupation forces killed 3 Israeli citizens. In this regard, the brigade stressed that the 3 dead Israeli citizens were among the 8 captives who were seriously wounded in the raids in the Gaza Strip. On the other hand, the statement stressed that the identity of the victims targeted by the military attacks of its own government will be revealed as soon as they know the medical condition of the wounded, a situation that has been worsening in recent hours due to the lack of medical supplies and medicines to assist them. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Middle East confirmed the death of one of its workers in Gaza due to Israeli shooting. The Commissioner of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, Philip Lazzarini, announced the death of another humanitarian worker in the city of Han Yunis, in the southwest of the Strip. Lazzarini added that the worker's body could not be recovered despite multiple attempts and insisted that humanitarian workers must be protected. In its last report, UNRWA records the death of 154 of its humanitarian workers. The leader of the Lebanese resistance movement, Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, highlighted the heroism of the Palestinian people and assured that Israel continues to reap failures after 130 days of genocide against the Gaza Strip. Nasrallah stressed that the occupation faces a policy of impotence. The Hezbollah leader expressed that Lebanon's actions in support of Gaza will continue until Israel's aggression ceases and a ceasefire is established. He also assured that the Lebanese resistance is determined to confront the enemy at any level and that they will not accept the conditions that Israel presented to the West to avoid an escalation in the region. Nasrallah added that the origin of the destabilization in the region was the creation of the Israeli occupation entity. Finally, the Hezbollah leader assured that the actions in favor of Gaza are an honest response to the moral and religious responsibility of his people.
When the attack on Gaza stops and there is a ceasefire, the fire will also stop in the south. Let nobody think Lebanon is weak and afraid or that they can impose conditions.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Spain denied this Tuesday to have authorized any sale of military material to Israel. This led to information disseminated by some national media, according to which in the month of November, Madrid would have authorized the export of ammunition to Israel for a value of 987,000 euros. However, the Secretary of State for Trade attached to the ministerial office confirms that no sale has been materialized after October 7th. Reiterating also that the material that Spain exported before that date to Israel in no case is material that can be used in conflict. On Monday, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, assured that there is a plan to guarantee at least six weeks of ceasefire in Gaza Strip. Biden declared after a meeting with Jordan's King Abdullah II that the key elements of the deal were on the table, but still were gaps that remain. Senior officials from the U.S., Egypt, Israel, and Qatar were expected to meet in Cairo to work on a three-phase framework that would try to achieve the release of hostages and also would try to establish an extended pause. The U.S. head of state even spoke about ending the war, although he didn't explain how. On the other hand, King Abdullah II returned his sight to the serious situation in the Palestinian enclave.
We cannot allow an Israeli attack on Rafah. It would surely lead to another humanitarian catastrophe. The situation is already unbearable for more than 1 million people who have been cornered in Rafah since the war began. We cannot stand armed crossbows and let this continue. We need an enduring stop to the fire now. This war must end.
And Cuba once again called for a ceasefire in Palestine. Through his account in social media X, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodriguez, expressed Cuba condemns in the strongest possible terms Israel's indiscriminate bombings against the Palestinian people in Rafah, which could unleash an unprecedented humanitarian disaster in the Middle East. We call for a ceasefire and unhindered delivery of humanitarian aid. China abandoned this Tuesday its moderate stance regarding conflicts in other countries and urged Israel to stop its military operations in Rafah. The spokesman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs reported in a meeting with the press that Beijing has made a call to avoid a more devastating humanitarian disaster in Rafah. He expressed that China watches events in the area closely and reiterated that the government opposes and condemns acts against civilians and the international law. For weeks, the United Nations has been alerting about the development of a military operation by the occupying army in an area where more than 1 million innocent civilians live. On Tuesday, the government of South Africa requested the International Court of Justice to examine the Israeli offensive in Rafah and to prevent further violations of the rights of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. In this regard, the government of Pretoria asked the international justice body to stop the decision of the Tel Aviv regime to expand military operations in the border area with Egypt. In the meantime, South African authorities demanded the body to use its powers to examine its ruling on the genocide in Gaza dated January 26 and to apply measures against Israel to prevent the violation of the human rights in Gaza. In this way, South Africa expressed its concern about the advance of the Israeli offensive in Rafah, where 1.4 million Palestinians find refuge. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Found short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the South. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights reported on Tuesday that criminal groups in Haiti are increasing their activity. As a result, hundreds of citizens have become displaced by the war between criminal groups and the government, although these criminal groups have lost up to 300 of their members in the month of January alone. Violence does not decrease. Citizens claim that the exchanges of fire last hours, which suggests that they have received more ammunition. In the midst of war, civilians are injured, abducted, murdered, and women and girls continue to be sexually abused. The serious situation is expected to be reviewed on Tuesday at the UN Security Council. On Sunday, a survey revealed that 86% of U.S. citizens consider that President Joe Biden is too old to serve a second term. A survey by ABC News and the consulting company Ipsos again revealed U.S. citizens' concerns about Joe Biden's age. The survey shows that 73% of Democrats think Biden at 81 years old is too old to hold the office, while 35% of Republicans believe the same about Trump. The survey comes to light days after Special Attorney Robert Hur's report was made public, which cast questions on Biden's cognitive abilities, which referred to Biden as an understanding, well-intentioned elder with a bad memory. On Tuesday, divergences within the Supreme Electoral Tribunal of El Salvador continue to obscure the counting of votes to integrate the Legislative Assembly. This situation is part of the problems faced in several aspects of the presidential and legislative elections held in February, of which only the re-election of Nayib Bukele as president is known by decision of the vast majority of those who went to cast their vote. In this way, the crisis within the electoral authority increased after 4 out of 5 substitute magistrates said that they would not support illegal and incorrect decisions made by the governing body of the elections regarding the final scrutiny of the Legislative Assembly election and the planning of the elections on Sunday, March 3rd.
We also know that inside the Supreme Electoral Tribunal there are substitute magistrates that do not agree with the decisions that were made there. We also know that the same magistrates, owner of the Supreme Electoral Court, acknowledged that there was a boycott within that institution, which caused the February 4 failure. And we also know that the Electoral Supreme Court today is favoring disregardingly a political party, as in the most particular case, that of Villa Universitaria, in which we have not received any notification in this respect.
In Venezuela, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ivan Hill, denounced the interventionist stance of the United States regarding the country after statements from the White House. Through his account in the social media X, Hill expressed the CIA and the DEA have been plotting from Miami and Colombia, along with far-right opponents from Venezuela, to assassinate President Nicolas Maduro, Minister Vladimir Padrino, and Governor Freddy Bernal, among others, as well as to destabilize our country through violence, terrorist assault, and military units in a long list of extremist barbarities. Today, the United States government goes out to protect and defend the terrorists who have confessed their crimes and the orders they received to harm our people. They are accomplices of the intellectual and material authors of the acts of terrorism and interventionism on Venezuela. The High Commissioner for Peace of Colombia, Oti Patiño, described the arms stoppage decreed by the National Liberation Army, the ELN, as disloyal to the agreements. Patiño thus assured on Monday when he gave statements from the Palace of Nariño, headquarters of the national government, in reference to this stoppage and other acts of violence that have occurred in the departments of Cauca and Nariño. The High Commissioner assured that they threaten the lives and freedoms of thousands of citizens. The Western War Front, Omar Gomez of the ELN, declared an arms strike on February 8th after accepting the extension of a truce on February 6th during the 6th round of negotiations held in Cuba. These arms stoppage often restrict the movement of vehicles on roads and the mobility of people, threatening attacks on those who transit the tracks, even if they are in caravans escorted by the army.
The declaration of an armed stoppage by the Western War Front of the ELN is a disloyalty to the agreements reached in the 6th round of talks in Havana, and insofar as it threatens the life, rights, liberties of the inhabitants of the department, the exercise of the democratically elected government, and the mandate of the authorities.
And now with teleSUR, you can celebrate one of the largest festivals in the South American continent. Gladys Quesada brings you all the details in this Carnival Time 2024. Tune in every day this week at 7 p.m. Caracas time through our Facebook Live at teleSUR English Official and X account at teleSUR English, and discover our most colorful celebrations. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. Indian authorities deploy a harsh security mechanism against the march of thousands of farmers to New Delhi who demand protection of the prices of their crops. The police have deployed barriers with sharp wires, spikes, and concrete blocks to prevent the passage of tractors and trucks. They've also thrown tear gas from a drone in Haryana. From this place and from Punjab, thousands of farmers started their protest march to demand a guaranteed minimum support price for all their products and for the government to fulfill the promise made in 2021, according to which they would double their income. In Azerbaijan, the Constitutional Court officially declared Ilham Aliyev as president of another 7-year term. The president of the Constitutional Court approved the protocol after examining the results of the country's Central Electoral Commission on the extraordinary presidential elections held on February 7th. President Aliyev won a victory with 92.12% of the electoral roll, while his closest rival, the deputy Sahid Uruk, obtained 2.17% of the active electorate. This will be his 5th term of government. According to the laws of the country, the president must take possession after 3 days after the Constitutional Court has approved the election results. In Bolivia, the Oruro Carnival once again dazzled and amazed with its majesty, variety of dances, multicolored costumes, and joy. Unlike other carnivals, the Oruro Carnival is a 3.5-kilometer pilgrimage dancing to the sanctuary of the Virgen del Socavón. Correspondent Freddy Morales tells us the details.
It is said that the Oruro Carnival began like this, as a procession that evolved into a pilgrimage, and this pilgrimage into dance and music.
The devotion we have towards Mamita del Socavón, the Saturdays of pilgrimage are for her. We dance in devotion for her, for every favor she fulfills for us, because we are believers. I come every year. The little Virgin always fulfills me. Greetings for my family. By faith to Mamita del Socavón, who gives us life and health, and we will continue dancing until Mamita gives us life and health, but above all because we have faith.
This carnival performs 20 dance specialties, as the local authorities of the event say, which are performed by more than 50,000 dancers, men and women who dance for 3.5 kilometers to reach the shrine of the Virgen del Socavón.
Spectacular! We once a year travel from Chile, because we are from Chile. It is incomparable. We brought our daughter for the first time, and she was fascinated. It is something that does not compare to any carnival. It is majestic, as they say, in honor of the Virgin del Socavón. It's something expected every year in Bolivia, nationally and internationally, because we expect 100% Bolivians in the Carnival of Oruro, where all the dances are 100% Bolivian. We come from La Paz. It is a very nice tradition. All the dances are very elegant, very nice. We are having fun. Long life the Carnival.
The most ancient and classic dances have a religious and social feeling, like the Diablada, whose origin is lost in the time before the Spanish colonialism. But when this took place, it meant once again that the struggle between good and evil. In the end, the Archangel Gabriel, guided by the Virgin, defeats the demons, and together they enter the Catholic Church.
To thank her for all that she gives us. This pilgrimage is a promise to offer, through dancing, our gratitude, our faith, strengthened in the affection towards the Virgin, happy to come at her feet. After 20 years, we are still on pilgrimage for the little Virgins of Socavón, always for Mamita. In this date, the pilgrimage.
Or the Morenada, which relieved the transfers of slaves from Africa on foot to the mines of Potosi, on the high plateau, at 4,000 meters above the sea level, with almost no oxygen. Their tongues hang out of their mouths, and their eyes bulge out of their sockets. The rattle reproduces the sound of the chains. The pilgrimage concludes on their knees before the image of the Virgin.
Tiring, very tiring. It is 4 kilometers, very strong march to get here with masks, to arrive at the Little Virgin, but we fulfilled a new year. It is my first year dancing, but it is a very nice experience. I feel very blessed by the Virgin del Socavón, very happy to be 3 years old. Are you going to continue? If the little virgin allows me to do so, of course I will.
Each dance has a meaning, and here are represented the indigenous dances of the Amazon and the main costumes of various people of Bolivia, by 50,000 dancers, nearly 20,000 musicians distributed in 70 bands. This cultural expression has been recognized by UNESCO as oral and intangible heritage of humanity.
Desde la ciudad de Oruro, Freddy Morales, teleSUR, Bolivia.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social media on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.